Good morning and welcome to Unstoppable. I'm Sejal Govindarao.
And I'm Ashley Robinson.
Coming up on this month's show, Mark and Zach will break down the NBA's new in-season tournament. Sarah and Tia take a look at this year's F1 season. And as always, Rami and Isa have Unstoppable's Top 10.
But first, it's time for the rundown. Men's and women's cross country had a great showing at the A10 conference meet. The men's team placed 5th, led by graduate student Ryan Folks, who placed 20th overall. Sophomore Sarah Mitchell led the women to their second place finish, finishing with all conference honors in 7th place. Both teams will wrap up their seasons today at the NCAA Mid-Atlantic Regional.
Well, it's a new era here for sports at GW, and the men's basketball team played their first game as the Revolutionaries last Monday. The team defeated Stonehill 89-44, and it was redshirt freshman Garrett Johnson leading the charge. He scored 21 points on 8 of 10 shooting, including 5 of 7 from beyond the arc. Last year's A10 Rookie of the Year Max Edwards also scored 19, and the team is being led by veteran point guard James Bishop, who is in his final season at GW. The team will take on William and Mary next.
Volleyball suffered a 3-0 loss against VCU at their final home match. Junior Salem Johannes led the team with 12 kills and a .263 hitting percentage, while junior Brittany Myers contributed 11 kills. Sophomore Amina Robinson led the defense with 16 digs. The team finishes their regular season next week against the St. Louis Billikens.
The women's basketball team also got off to a strong start, defeating DC rival Howard 64-58 on Monday. Sophomore Nia Robertson dominated, putting up 29 points and shooting 8 of 18 from the three-point line. Nia Locke scored 12 and Essence Brown added another 11. It was a strong start for the team, and they'll be looking to make the A10 quarterfinals this season for the 3rd straight year.
Women's soccer ended their season on a high note with their first conference win against St. Bonaventure. First-year Alexa Minen, junior Kelly Poole, and sophomore Aoi Kataoka all scored, contributing to a 3-2 final score. The team is now looking for a new head coach, as head coach Michelle Demko will not be returning following 6 memorable seasons at GW. Meanwhile, men's soccer was also victorious in their final game of the season, ending with a 3-1 win against George Mason. All 3 goals were scored in a span of 4 minutes and 17 seconds during the first half. Grad student Will Turner started the scoring frenzy, followed by senior Tim Newman and freshman George Vincent.
That's it for the rundown, and up next we go to Mark and Zach for a look at the NBA's in-season tournament.
Welcome to the Front Line Hardcourt Edition. I'm Mark Ashgar, joined by Zach Brody. We're finally getting the flow of the NBA season, and this year we got a little new addition, Zach. What are your thoughts on the in-season tournament so far?
Yeah, well, excited to be here, excited to be talking NBA. Always a good time.
Of course.
I think it makes sense to actually explain what the tournament is first, because no one has any idea what's going on. So, the tournament has 2 stages. It has a group stage and it has a knockout round. So the group stage, you split into the Eastern Conference and the Western Conference, and each conference is split into 3 random groups. From those groups, it's kind of like a round robin, but every team plays each other over the course of like a month. So like over the course of November, each of those 5 teams will play each other. Then the teams with the best record move on to a playoff stage or the knockout round, and then it's just like the playoffs, any bracket that you've ever seen. Winner wins, get some prize money, and yeah, I mean, I have my thoughts on it, but let's take yours first. Mark, what do you think of it?
Yeah, so overall, I think tournament's a very good addition to the NBA early on in the season. It creates, of course, I do think it could be refined. It's not perfect as of now, but bi-weekly games or weekly games really makes those games matter most, kind of like the NFL. Circle those games on the calendar,
That's interesting.
And then, so yeah, so also it creates this incentive for the players, like $500K for each team. I know these guys make millions, but still, $500K is $500K. And it creates bragging rights, of course. I know the Celtics have bragging rights over the Knicks over the years, so.
No, not addressing that. I think the problem with the NBA tournament, for me at least, is that the players are just clueless. There's a video from a week or 2 ago from Bones Highland where, when asked about the extra motivation of the tournament, he said something like, "I don't even know what's going on." And if the players don't know what's going on, how can you possibly expect the fans to get into it and excited about a tournament that the players just don't care about?
I mean, here's the thing. It creates rivalries. That's what's make the fans into it. Like, think about it. I know the Knicks and Celtics, we don't really call it a rivalry, but still. I mean, the groups are put in place where there's teams that will be put against each other, forced to play each other, that will make the fans engage more. For example, Nuggets Mavs, you have Luka Doncic and Nikola Jokic, 2 European juggernauts. We have Heat Bucks rematch from last year's first round. That will be a great game. And then Lakers Suns, LeBron and KD. Like, what more can you ask for as an NBA? Like, to force these games and have incentives for high stakes.
Not an awful point. I'm just not sure that that's going to turn out to be an actual rivalry. I'm not sure that the players or the fans care enough about the in-season tournament. But, I mean, I guess it's to be seen. And because you're kind of arrogant and annoying about the Celtics, we will stick to the Celtics group. So the Celtics draw is Group C in the Western Conference. It includes the Celtics, the Nets, the Raptors, the Bulls, and the Magic. And I'll ask this question because I have no other choice. But, Mark, who do you possibly think could win this division?
I mean, Zach, is this really a question? The answer is obviously the Celtics. And why? Because we have the formula for winning. If you look at previous, like, NBA teams, champions, anything, they always have a star player. And the Celtics do have a top 5 NBA player in Jason Tatum. Let's take a look at the numbers. So over here, we have odds to win the group, -125, which I think is borderline disrespectful. Because here's the thing. Every other team in this group is borderline playoff team. The Celtics are top of of the conference. I wouldn't be surprised if they swept the group. -25, I think, is free money. And their odds to win the whole thing is +550. And the Celtics have the best defensive backcourt in the NBA in Drew Holiday and Derek White. Like, who's going to score on those guys? And we have a new dynamic in Kristaps Porzingis, a big man that can do it all, drive, shoot. Just gives, like, a new perspective for the Celtics. Not even to mention Jaylen Brown and Jason Tatum, who, like, can play both sides of the ball and just best in the league at it. Here's the thing that I'll say about the Celtics. They need to improve their bench. We don't have much depth. And I think to do that, we have all our picks. We need to trade for some veteran presence. So I think if the Celtics do that, they should be a lock to win, like, the in-season tournament, potentially the NBA championship.
You said we a lot there. Are you a member of the team?
I am, yeah. The fans are very big on the team, Zach.
I didn't know that. Well, I guess Mark thinks he plays for the NBA. He's living in another world. Let's move on to the Western Conference. We're talking about Western Conference Group B, another group I think really interesting in the Western Conference. Has kind of like all the best and most exciting teams for the most part.
West is very exciting.
So the Western Conference Group B, it's the Clippers, the Nuggets, the Pelicans, the Mavericks, and the Rockets. All kind of interesting teams, different storylines. Who do you have coming out of the conference?
I would say for sure the Denver Nuggets, reigning NBA champions. They look great this season. They have the reigning Finals MVP in Nikola Jokic, who I think is the best NBA player in the whole league. You can all do a big man, like passing, scoring, does everything, and there's no other player like him in the NBA.
See, the problem I have with Nikola Jokic, and I acknowledge that he is good, but the problem I have with him is he just hates the game of basketball, and that
What do
as
you
a
mean?
fan, like
He's great.
No. I'm not talking about his skill. I mean that coming to work every day, you are so lucky to be an NBA player. You get to do the job that everyone dreams about, and he hates coming to work. He wishes he was racing his horses in Serbia, and for kids who are dreaming about going to the NBA, this is what so many people want for their lives, and he just disrespects it to a whole new level. Doesn't even want to go to the championship parade. So, I mean, I acknowledge that he's skilled. I hope he loses in the future because I really hate that attitude.
He's too good.
But I do think that another international star will win. That star is Luka Doncic, and boy, are the odds good for this one. So let me walk you through the numbers.
All right, Zach.
You have +900 at the group stage and +4,100 at the tournament stage for a team that's really good and top in the NBA. I mean, this team is disgusting. You have Kyrie Irving on this team, who I think is going to accept a number 2 role, and people don't even remember that he's on this team. You have some really good role players like Grant Williams, which I bet you miss him, Mark.
All right.
Also have Tim Hardaway Jr., who has been a big-time player for them this season. And, of course, you have Mr. Clutch himself. We don't even need to have that discussion. They have a tough bracket, and the reason the odds are the way they are, they lost 1 game already. So, the odds are not with them right now. They lost to the Nuggets in one of the round-robin type games. So +900 and +4,100, that's why the odds are so good. But I think they have a chance. I think they can prevail. And if you ask me, that's all you can ask for,
I wonder
right?
what the Knicks odds to win their group are. It was +3,000.
guess it'll just be free money for me.
It's a donation, Zach. That's what it is.
That is all the time we have for today. Next time, we'll finish this conversation, and I'll tell you why the Knicks are the best team in the world.
Okay.
But for now, we are signing off. Back to you guys.
Thanks, Mark and Zach. Changing gears, no pun intended, Sarah and Tia have all the latest on Formula One.
Welcome to the first F1 segment on Unstoppable. We've got all the information you need to know on past and upcoming Grand Prix. We'll also give you the scoop on off-track details that you might have missed. I'm Tia.
And I'm Sarah. The season is almost at its end, but first we'll give you a brief recap of the last month of action-packed racing. It's lights out and away we go. First, let's kick it off to Qatar. Qatar was definitely one of the best McLaren performances that we've seen all season. We saw Oscar Piastri get his first win in F1 ever during the sprint race, but even with the good McLaren performance, it was bad conditions overall. Because of the bad conditions, it was required to be a 2-stop minimum race, which allowed the drivers not to worry about tire degradation. And when they aren't worrying about tire degradation, they're able to go full out. And because they were able to go full out, it was really physically taxing on a lot of the drivers. In addition, with the high heats that were in Qatar, many drivers started to suffer. For example, Logan Sargent had to retire early due to heat stroke, Esteban Ocon reported throwing up in his helmet, and Lance Stroll said he was passing out on high G corners. Then, after the race, he struggled to get out of his car and went straight to the ambulance.
Adding on to that, in post-race interviews, both Charles Leclerc and Lando Norris reported that multiple other drivers were in need of medical attention after the race. Unlike Qatar, the US Grand Prix was much less eventful, with the most notable event being that both Charles Leclerc and Lewis Hamilton were unfortunately disqualified due to their cars being out of regulation during post-race checks.
Yeah, that was definitely a very interesting turn of events. Moving on then to Mexico. Mexico was supposed to be a very good race for Mexican driver Checo Perez, because that's his home race. But unfortunately, he ended up not finishing the race due to a collision with Charles Leclerc on the first turn of the first lap. It looked like he was just trying to push too hard due to pressure from Red Bull because of speculation that if he loses his spot in the Drivers' Championship, he'll be replaced by AlphaTauri driver Daniel Ricciardo.
I think what might have also added to the pressure was the impressive performance by Daniel Ricciardo, first of all, in qualifying, who ended up in P4, and in the actual race snagged P7.
Yeah, and it really didn't look like Leclerc's bad luck ended there, because then in Sao Paulo, Leclerc spun out into the barrier during the formation lap. It was originally believed to be a hydraulics issue, but Leclerc said in an interview post-race that, quote, "I don't think it's a hydraulic problem. I mean, I know what it is, but I can't go into much detail." Ferrari has still yet to actually make a comment on what happened.
I mean, Sao Paulo in general was just pure chaos with 5 DNFs on top of Leclerc's DNS, as well as multiple crashes in the first 2 laps. So starting off with the DNFs, we had George Russell, Valtteri Bottas, Zhou Guanyu, Kevin Magnussen, and Alexander Albon. Moving on to the crashes, Nico Hülkenberg swerved into Albon's car as he tried to overtake him, which caused Albon's car to spin out, crash into Kevin Magnussen's car, and this caused a tire to fly out, and it hit multiple cars, including Daniel Ricciardo's car, which unfortunately did not have time to recover during the red flag, and instead he had to restart from the pit lane, which caused him to be around a lap behind all the other drivers. Something similar happened to Oscar Piastri's car. He had damage due to a collision that happened with one of the Haas cars, and that also meant that he had to start from the pit lane. He was also a lap behind, which caused both him and Daniel Ricciardo to end in P13 and P14 respectively. On a better note, Lando Norris did great as he was able to go up to P2 and remain there for the entire race. And also at multiple points in the race, he was able to battle Max Verstappen for his P1 position, which is something we don't see often nowadays. It's just Max Verstappen winning race after race. On another note, Checo and Fernando Alonso had a very interesting battle in the last lap in a series of overtakes. However, Alonso ended up coming out on top in P3 by just 53 thousandths of a second.
Yeah, this last month of racing has definitely been interesting, and I know something that a lot of the drivers and teams are looking forward to is the next race, which is the inaugural race of the Las Vegas Grand Prix. I know I'm definitely looking forward to it. So this race is going to be very interesting because it's a 6.2 kilometer circuit with top speeds reaching up to 341 kilometers an hour. It has 17 turns with 2 DRS zones. The first one between 4 and 5, and the second one between 14 and 15. That DRS zone is the one that's going on the iconic Las Vegas Strip, passing icons like Caesar's Palace and the Bellagio fountains. The long straightaways are really going to heavily favor Red Bull, McLaren, and AlphaTauri.
While it does seem like a very exciting race, I have heard of a lot of backlash from both U.S. residents and Las Vegas residents. Can you expand on that?
Yeah, absolutely. The backlash kind of goes into 3 categories. First, with the pricing, second, from locals, and the third, from the time start for U.S. fans. So first, let's look at the pricing. Las Vegas is looking to be one of the most expensive Grand Prix of the season, and that's saying something for Formula One, because ticket prices are averaging $3,000 for 3-day grandstand passes, which is absolutely insane. For the local backlash, the building of the track and the paddock has caused a lot of congestion and traffic on and off the strip, and you can see the repercussions rippling throughout all of Las Vegas. Another thing that happened was race organizers started putting up plastic films on the pedestrian walkways that connect most of the strip to block public view of the race. The problem with this is they put it up a month before the race, and people go to Vegas, and residents go to see the beautiful Las Vegas Strip, and most of their view is being blocked. So like people who go see the Sphere, they can't go and see it. And then lastly, for start times for all US fans, the start times are really, really late. So qualifying is starting at 12 and going to 1 a.m. Track time, which is 3 to 4 a.m. Eastern time, and the race doesn't start till 10 p.m. The reasoning from race organizers for this was to accommodate for F1's, quote, legacy fans on the other side of the Atlantic, i.e. their European fans.
I mean, I don't know about other people. This is definitely going to be a very interesting race to look forward to, but I know I'm definitely going to be waking up to watch it, although it's definitely going to be a struggle.
Yeah, absolutely. And that will be a wrap on our look into F1 season. Back to you, Sejal and Ashley.
Thanks, Sarah and Tia. I'm definitely excited to see F1 in Vegas. And finally on this morning's show, Rami and Isa have Unstoppable's Top 10.
Hi everyone, and welcome back. We hope your midterms have been going well, but now it's time to sit back, relax, and enjoy Unstoppable's Top 10.
That's right, I can't wait any longer. I'm very excited to see these. Without further ado, let's jump right in with number 10.
At number 10, we have Las Palmas once again with a beautiful goal from their game against Atletico Madrid. Benito Ramirez gets the assist from Munir and places a beautiful shot into the back left side of the net. A gorgeous goal from Las Palmas and an amazing win for the team.
Truly, and I think they're going to climb up and make some damage in the league.
Yeah, they have been climbing up in the league. I personally, as a Las Palmas fan, am so excited.
Coming in at number 9 is Jordan Love and the Packers, going for it on 4th and 2, and this TD pass is deflected and caught by Jaden Reed for the touchdown. A clutch score there, tying up the game for the Packers, and then they would eventually take the lead. And originally, they wanted dupes, but they'll take whatever they can get.
At number 8, we have our very own Washington Capitals, who are up against the Blue Jackets last weekend. Here's an amazing save by Lindgren. He sprawls into the goal and catches the puck with his mitt. This save, among others, led the Cap to victories that night.
That is a solid catch right there. Coming in at number 7, the Colts are looking to attempt a 60-yard field goal with Matt Gay, but Myles Garrett has other plans, jumps over the line and blocks the kick. Garrett tallied 9 tackles, 2 sacks, 2 forced fumbles, and along with a block kick in this game, a defensive masterclass.
At number 6, we have Denver's Nikolai Joik beating the halftime buzzer with a stunning three-pointer. Denver, already winning 67-55, tacks on another 3 points right before halftime. A beautiful shot by Joik, and the entire stadium's energy was definitely high.
Mile high, one could say.
Yeah, a beautiful shot, really.
Coming in at number 5 is the NBA's #1 overall pick, Victor Wembanyama, with not 1, but 2 blocks on Jabari Smith Jr. Smith tried to sneak in a second shot there, but Wembanyama said no, thank you, and gets 12 feet above the rim with not one of his hands, but both of his hands on each block. Incredible play so far. He's been an incredible player, averaging about 20 points a game. Truly a stud for San Antonio. A great pick for Greg Popovich to mentor. He's going to be a great player for years to come. Coming in at number 3, Stephen Curry doing his thing that he does best, putting defenders in the blender, and this one was on Dylan Brooks, and look at his face after. It says it all. Oh my goodness. What a move from Stephen Curry with the crossover, and then the fake shot too to send Dylan Brooks flying to the 3rd rafter. Truly, he's been playing so well at his age.
Coming in at number 2 is probably one of the craziest scenes I have ever seen in a motorsport race. Fernando Alonso and Red Bull's Checo Perez are fighting for third place. The Red Bull's a stronger and faster car, but veteran Fernando Alonso is able to keep Checo at bay for the most part during the last few laps. In the final stretch of the last lap, the two cars are nearly touching, and a fantastic photo finish. Alonso takes the place on the podium. So amazing.
Coming in at number 1 play for this week is undrafted free agent named Jake Bobo for the Seattle Seahawks. Geno Smith launches it to the corner of the end zone, and this was reviewed about 10 times before they confirmed that Bobo got his feet down in the corner of the end zone. How on earth did he pull this ball down? I have no idea, but what a catch by Jake Bobo.
Really impressive, crazy that they called that. It's really just a great play.
Beautiful win and a beautiful catch there for Seattle. They would eventually go on to get blown out by the Ravens, but they don't know that yet.
And that wraps up Unstoppable's Top 10.
Thank you so much for watching, and we'll see you next time.
That'll do it for our show, and from all of us here at GWTV, raise high.